Next slide, please. And next slide. Good morning or afternoon, depending on your location. I'm Rhonda Taylor, Director of Partnerships and Program Engagement at AmeriCorps. On behalf of AmeriCorps and 911day.org, I'd like to welcome you to our webinar to promote engaging in service to honor the anniversary of 9/11. This year, we are promoting unity through service with the recognition that by serving together, we can step beyond issues of division and move toward more common purpose. Just as we saw 21 years ago, people from around the world and across our country spontaneously came together to serve others and help and comfort those in need. We honor that spirit and those who lost their lives with our continued service. During this webinar today, you will hear from several organizations about their ideas and tools and resources to help you plan service and remembrance activities for 9/11. It is now my pleasure to introduce our first presenter and our partner in this day of service, Ryan Walls from 911day.org. Please go to the next slide and welcome Ryan.
Thank you so much, Rhonda. I'm thrilled to be here. Hi, everyone. As Rhonda said, I am Ryan Walls. I'm the Executive Director of 9/11 Day. Mike, if you want to go to the next slide, please. Fantastic. Okay, so I want to tell you all about our organization, 9/11 Day. I also want to tell you, most importantly, about how you all can take a couple really easy steps to get involved in the day and do something that you're already doing every single day around the year, which is commit to service. To help grow the impact and the engagement of the September 11th National Day of Service and Remembrance. So real quickly, a little bit about our organization. We were founded by September 11th family members back in 2002. It was a few months after the tragic events of September 11th. A group of family members came together really with the inspiration to turn the day into something positive. I think they looked around just like so many other Americans and really people from around the world, and were truly inspired and humbled by what they experienced after. We saw people coming together from all different types of backgrounds and really committing to serving one another and helping one another through this very painful time for our country and for the world. Our organization led the efforts to get the day recognized under federal legislation as a National Day of Service. That happened in 2009. President Barack Obama signed the Edward M. Kennedy Serve America Act, and that firmly established September 11th as a National Day of Service. One of 2 days of national service, as you know, 9/11 Day and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday. And obviously, we're very honored to share that distinction. Over the past 20 years, we're proud to say that 9/11 Day has become the nation's largest day of charitable service and engagement. We do a national survey every year, so we know that last year, about 30 million people from the US and from around the world engaged in some form of service. This could be something like traditional volunteerism, all the way to some simple act of service or some very small act of kindness or good deed or charitable donation. We cast a pretty wide net when we're defining what service is on the day, so that as many people as possible can participate. Just a little bit about the structure of the day. AmeriCorps, our friends there, lead the federal response, and then our nonprofit 9/11 Day coordinates private sector activities. So we run a number of large-scale meal packing events. These are volunteer-driven events on September 11th. Actually, this year they're happening on September 12th, which is a Monday. And we work with volunteers from major employers. We also work with volunteers from first responder groups, military veteran groups, students, and then a vast diverse array of faith-based groups as well. We run educational programs, and I want to tell you, Mike, next slide, please. I would love and implore you all to check out our new website. We're thrilled to announce we just launched a brand new website at 911day.org. If you go on it, it is a work in progress, I will say that. So there's going to be a lot more resources added to it between now and September. But you can start to see that there are resources out there for organizations that want to get their members, their supporters, their constituents engaged in the day of service. We'll have educational lesson plans there that are written by leaders in the education world that really teach about September 11th through the lens of service and civic engagement. The goal of our website is to inspire as many people as possible to commit, to make a pledge and commit to performing an act of kindness, an act of service, or volunteerism on the day itself. Next slide, please, Mike. Okay, so what I want to ask you to do is join our coalition. I will say it is in the history of coalitions, it is the easiest coalition to join, and we'd love for all of you to be a part of it. We launched it last year. We have about 125 members that range from state service commissions. Maybe you're part of the coalition already. We have hands-on affiliates. We have big national organizations to local organizations and everything in between. If you go to join our coalition on our website, which is at the top navigation bar, it will take you to a really simple form that I would love for you to fill out. If you fill it out, what we will do is we'll confirm that you are interested in joining the coalition. We'll send you a toolkit, which will be available probably closer to mid-August. The toolkit has tons of inspiration and ideas and email templates and social media prompts for how you can get the word out to your followers, to your members, to anyone who loves your organization, to encourage them to engage in the day of service. Now, the trick about the coalition is we want you to utilize the day of service to help your mission. We are, as we say, we are agnostic to the cause here at 9/11 Day. So if your organization focuses on hunger relief, do something that encourages people to address hunger relief in your community. If your organization focuses on education, have the focus of 9/11 Day be on education. We want you to do everything from organize a volunteer project on the day to post social media prompts encouraging your followers to recognize the day and make a pledge to serve, all the way down to we have some organizations that use the day to ask for donations to support a new program that they're running. That is fine. Charitable donations are an act of service, and we firmly support that. So yes, join the coalition. It is a fantastic group of organizations. And Mike, if you go to the next slide, I'll just sum everything up. So if you only do 3 things after this webinar, I would love for you, number 1, join the coalition. Like I said, it is the easiest coalition in the history of coalitions to be a part of. You can do that on our website. Once you join the coalition, we'll send you a lovely free toolkit, which has a ton of ideas and inspiration and kind of prompts for how you can get your community involved and your organization involved in the day of service. We also have educational lesson plans, which you're more than welcome to take and use and distribute. And number 3, perhaps this is the most important, we want you to report your pledges and your projects on social media. You don't have to send us a report. We're not asking for that. We just want you to post on social media, use the hashtag 9/11 Day, share photos, share videos, share impact numbers, share stories. We will collect all of these social media posts, and that will help us kind of assess how many people engage in the day of service. So if you have questions, you can ask me in the Q&A box, or you can contact my colleague, Tanya Wankel. She is at tanya@911day.org. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for everything you do all year round as it relates to service and volunteerism. We would love for you to be involved in the coalition this year. Thank you so much. Thanks, Rhonda.
Hi, our next presenter, Megan Jones, represents the National September 11th Memorial and Museum. Megan, all yours.
Thank you, Rhonda, and thank you so much to everyone for joining today. I am thrilled to be here to talk to you about our flagship commemorative education program that we offer every year on and around the anniversary, and it is called Anniversary in the Schools. So if you can go to the next slide, please. Thank you. So my goal for the next 5 minutes, we'll see if I can get this done in 5 minutes, is to introduce you to this program, share ideas about how to integrate the program into your service projects, and provide a sneak peek of the 2022 program. So if you can go to the next slide, please. So the purpose of this program is to connect participants with first-person stories from those who experienced the attacks, ranging from family members to first responders to family members. And then we ask our participants to share ideas, to share how they might carry on the legacy of 9/11 in their own communities. So here you see photos of our 4 speakers this year, which I will introduce you to them more specifically a little later. So Anniversary in the Schools consists of 2 parts. So the first part of the program is a 30-minute film, as I mentioned before, featuring the stories of family members, survivors, first responders. And they are telling their stories in front of very specific artifacts in the museum that speak to the theme of their story. The second part of the program is very unique. It's a live chat. And so during the live chat, museum staff like myself, and my colleagues, we sit around in a room together with our laptops. So the last 2 years we've done it virtually, but we're really happy to be bringing it back in person this year. And we answer questions all day long. So the idea is if you are, again, in a classroom, or if you're in a library, or if you're just in the community watching this or watching it at home, if you had a question during the program, you could just click that chat bubble and be directly connected to one of us. Now, it's available to stream on demand on and around the anniversary. Now, because the anniversary this year is on a Sunday, we are going to start the access to the film on Friday, September 9th. So it's available for free to stream on our website. The interactive chat will take place on the 9th as well. And because it's on demand, it's flexible. So it can accommodate volunteer activities. It can kind of accommodate whatever your schedule and time zone is. It's not dependent on that at all. And I'm very excited to share that since we started this program in 2016, we've had over 2 million participants from around the world participate in this program. And it has expanded well beyond the title, which is, of course, Anniversary in the Schools, into a much broader audience that we didn't expect and are so excited to now be engaging with. So if you could move to the next slide, please. So just a couple of examples. So there you see a photo of us answering the questions in real time, and then you see what the chat looks like. These 2 images, of course, are tweets from educators who were posting about what they were doing in their classroom as they watched the film. So of course, it was originally designed for teachers and students, but it's also appropriate for really anyone. So we've had cultural institutions and civic organizations create public programs or events around the webinar. For example, the Museum of Tolerance in LA or YMCA. Government agencies like the State Department and Department of Defense have hosted screenings for their staff. Libraries, everything from public libraries to university libraries will participate in the program. Corporate days of service. We've had Bank of America, Capital One, you name it. They want to do a service project and they want to include this program in the work that they're doing. And also first responder groups. So we've had many, first responder groups from all over the country participate. Next slide, please. Just to give you an example, this is a high school in Shaker Heights, Ohio, which, full disclosure, that's actually where I'm from originally, but this just happened by coincidence, where the students learned about this program and they decided to host a community event. So here you see that they screened the webinar film, and then they invited first responders from their own community to come in, and they did a talk back with first responders and family members, and again, invited the entire community in. So this was a larger project, but it could be something as small as watching this with a group and having a conversation afterwards. It doesn't have to be a big event. Next slide, please. We find that this program provides the inspiration for service projects and community events. So the feedback that we've gotten in the past has been that this film, hearing the stories from those who were there, actually provides the why behind the service project, or behind the commemoration. Why are we doing this project? Why are we commemorating, and why is it important to remember? And this provides that motivation and the answer to the why. So in closing, I just want to share that you can register for free. Again, it's absolutely free, no charge. Please visit 911memorial.org/webinar. The registration form is there. More information about the program and speakers can be found there. I'd also say if you visit 911memorial.org, you will find lesson plans, videos, templates for how to prepare or plan an event or project tied to 9/11. And again, the film will be available beginning Friday, September 9th, with the live chat also on September 9th, beginning at 8 a.m. Eastern time. So in closing, what I'd like to do is just share with you a very brief preview of this year's program by introducing you to our 4 incredible speakers for this year's program. And thank you so much for considering this and for all of the work that you do. Thank you. If you could play the trailer, please. Thanks.
Okay, everybody settle whenever you're ready.
I was in my 8th grade English class as the events of September 11, 2001 were unfolding.
I was a sleepy high school student in my first period math class.
I was an 18-year-old college student in New Jersey, getting ready for class when the attack started.
I had no idea that the events of that day were about to forever change the world.
I didn't know back then was how much of my life would become devoted to telling the stories of many others deeply affected by that day.
Coming from a family of first responders, one of the most rewarding parts of working here is being able to illuminate stories of bravery and courage on 9/11.
This September, in commemoration of the 21st anniversary of 9/11, we invite you to join us for Anniversary in the Schools. During this interactive program, available on demand, you'll hear from 4 ordinary individuals with extraordinary stories to share from right here in the 9/11 Memorial and Museum. Join a community of over 2 million people from around the world who have participated in this program to remember 9/11 and appreciate its ongoing legacy today.
All we could see was an explosion. You couldn't see a thing through the black smoke. I saw a crack of light around a corner and went straight for it. I was one of the very few lucky ones to make it out.
The building started to collapse, and I knew we were in trouble. It sounded like a hurricane. I actually could feel the wind of the air being pushed through the building as the floors were collapsing.
And finally, we got the call. It looked like we were in a blizzard. This big gust of wind came and it shook the engine. As I look back on it, the love that we have for each other, that's what sustains us and brings us close together.
I was a kid, I was 11 years old, and I was looking out at the front line of a battlefield. Things were never going to be the same. 9/11 didn't end on 9/11 for me. Now I'm a voice in this community, and I'm very grateful for that.
As each of us balances meeting immediate community needs and contributing to long-term systemic change during a day of service, we have invited our colleague from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, to talk about addressing climate change. Please welcome John McLaughlin. John?
Thank you, Rhonda, and thank you all for your remarkable service. I'm going to introduce some ways you can help our nation cope with extreme weather and the changes in climate through the power of the crowd. And next slide, please. The challenges we face from a changing climate are substantial, beyond the scale that a single group can solve on their own. Collaboration is essential. Tools such as crowdsourcing, citizen science, and community science empower communities, individuals, and institutions to work together, thereby bringing the power of the crowd. Part of this power comes from offering ways for anyone to participate. The GLOBE program offers Elementary GLOBE as a way for the youngest students to study Earth systems. Meanwhile, on June 30th of 1999, the American Littoral Society's fish tagging program went presidential. Former President George Herbert Walker Bush recaptured a tagged striped bass near Kennebunkport, Maine. The recapture was reported by one of Bush's Secret Service agents. President Bush ended up trading letters with an angler named Charlie Kennedy, who had tagged the same fish just 3 months earlier off of Cape May, New Jersey. Next slide, please. Volunteers engaging in the scientific process is not a new idea, but in the past 15 years, technologies have majorly expanded the ways people participate, engage, and communicate. Smartphones allow observations bundled with critical data such as geographic coordinates and photos to be submitted in near real time. Online projects can engage people from all over the world, while increasingly offering the ability to support subcommunities, such as those based on locations or interest. Next slide, please. As these type of efforts expand, so has our understanding of their potential impacts and best practices. The National Academies of Sciences, Engineering, and Medicine released a publicly available report on learning through citizen science that discusses how these projects don't only contribute to research and monitoring, but can increase the science, technology, engineering, and math literacy of their participants and address societal needs when intentionally designed to do so. Next slide, please. This week, the National Weather Service issued excessive heat warnings or advisories for areas where a total of about 100 million people live. This heat can have non-uniform impacts on communities, even within a given city, such as Washington, D.C., where I'm speaking with you from today. And next slide, please. Our agency supports citizen science urban heat island mapping campaigns that allow communities to explore distribution of heat within the areas they live. Such a study on a summer day in 2018 found temperatures that varied by 17 degrees Fahrenheit at the same time of day across the city. Often this heat is not equitably distributed. Rather, disadvantaged communities tend to experience the highest levels of heat. If you're interested in doing such a study in your community, you can find information about opportunities to do so through the URL at the bottom of the slide. And on to the next slide, please. The Community Collaborative Rain, Hail, and Snow Network, known as COCORAS, has over 20,000 volunteers across the country contributing valuable precipitation reports that increase our ability to monitor weather as well as climate. Like heat, rainfall can vary greatly over small areas, so each observation can be essential. There have been days that I observed no precipitation, while my fellow volunteers in other parts of the city had significant rainfall. Volunteer reports can help inform the National Weather Service in issuing warnings for hazardous weather events that can save lives and property. Next slide, please. While present-day observations are critical, data from the past also plays an important role in studying climate. Through the Old Weather Project, volunteers look through scans of historic ship logs to extract valuable data collected in the Arctic, often over a century ago. This can be an exciting opportunity to make a connection with the past. We've also heard from language arts teachers who use this activity to have students learn about reading cursive in a practical manner. You can find additional projects that are supported by us at NOAA, as well as our fellow federal agencies at the Catalog of Federal Citizen Science Projects, which is at citizenscience.gov/catalog. And you can find all the projects I spoke about today at that link. With that said, next slide. And I thank you so much for your consideration of these projects and wish you the best.
Next, you're there. A key focus for us in honor of 9/11 is service with and for veterans, military families, and wounded warriors. Please welcome my colleague, Julia Tebald, to talk about that service. Julia?
Hi, Rhonda. Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Julia Tebald. I am the Special Assistant for Veteran and Military Family Initiatives here at AmeriCorps. And as Rhonda mentioned, this 9/11 Day of Service, along with building unity across the country, like we've already talked about, also honors the thousands of people who voluntarily joined the military as a result of 9/11. And it also honors the hundreds of thousands of Americans who continue to serve in our armed forces today. So I'm going to quickly touch on AmeriCorps' work with the veteran and military community and note how days of service support that work. So next slide, please, Mike. Here at AmeriCorps, veterans and military families are one of our 6 focus areas. So each year, AmeriCorps programs assist nearly 500,000 veterans and military families. And not only do we serve this community, we also serve with them. So about 20,000 veterans serve in AmeriCorps programs every year. And that's powerful, not only because veterans are exceptional volunteers and teammates, but volunteerism is beneficial for the veteran themselves for a variety of reasons. It's shown to positively impact mental health. It provides a new sense of community and purpose and mission, and it often provides career training and pathways to employment as well. Next slide, please. So this 9/11 Day, we're encouraging service projects that align with AmeriCorps' service priorities in this space. Those include addressing and preventing veteran homelessness, supporting mental health, wellness, and suicide prevention, supporting veteran employment and career development, and continuing to help veterans and their families recover from the impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic. Next slide, please. So we engage this community year-round at AmeriCorps, but we see days of service as a really important on-ramp for veterans and military family members to learn about AmeriCorps and continue engaging with us after the day of service. So that includes potentially serving in one of our programs. Currently, we have military kids serving in AmeriCorps NCCC right out of high school. We have military spouses serving as AmeriCorps Vistas, and we have many incredible retired veterans serving in AmeriCorps seniors. Continued engagement also means connecting veterans and their families to services and benefits that are already available through existing programs. And it also means bringing new veteran serving organizations into the AmeriCorps family as grantees, sponsors, and partners. Next slide, please. So if you have any questions about AmeriCorps' work with the veteran and military community, or you'd like recommendations about how you can serve those folks this 9/11 Day, please reach out to us. You can reach me and AmeriCorps' Senior Advisor for Veteran and Military Family Initiatives, Mary Tobin, at the email address listed here. We would love to hear from you. Please don't be shy with the email address. We check it daily. And with that, I will hand it back over to Rhonda. Thank you all so much for your time, and hopefully we'll see you out serving on 9/11.
Next slide, please. As some of you have asked whether or not this program will be available after this presentation, it will. It takes us about a week to turn it around and get it online because it has to be captioned before we can put it up, but it will be available online. I wanted to take a few minutes to talk about some other ideas and resources that are available and that we encourage you to check out for potential projects. First, a big reminder, don't forget to include a moment of silence to honor and remember those who lost their lives on 9/11 and those who rose in service. Whether you're doing a virtual project or one in person, or just doing something kind for your neighbor, it's a good time to reflect and think forward about how you will continue to encourage service and volunteering and unity in your community. September is also National Preparedness Month. Our colleagues at FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, have many resources to help your community and individuals prepare for and be ready to address disasters. Trauma is a leading cause of death for Americans under 45. Please visit ready.gov for a full set of tools to plan projects from You Are the Help Until Help Arrives. That specifically teaches how to address some trauma, games and ideas to help kids be prepared to make a disaster plan. These are easy tools to use and are a good way to plan projects that can save lives. How much more could you do to support and honor first responders than be prepared if and when disaster strikes? Excuse me. You'll find information that's critical for community members to know how to be prepared and how to help. Business plans, plans for homes, plans for schools. You can find all those on the FEMA website, ready.gov. Help your community prevent home fires. Check out information at the National Fire Prevention Association and the American Red Cross, and with your local fire department. 9/11 is a great time to share this information in your communities. Install smoke detectors in homes and remind people to change their smoke alarm batteries. 9/11 is on Sunday this year. You can partner with local faith groups to educate their members on 9/11 and on protecting against fires and being ready for disasters. Next slide, please. There are so many things you can do to engage your community, neighbors, and family in service. Prepare for colder weather. Visit energy saver, one word, for tips and ideas to educate your community on weatherization of homes. Organize a coat drive. Check out onewarmcoat.org for free tools and resources that will help you organize your own clothing and coat drive. It's back to school time, and many students and educators are still struggling to help students recoup from learning loss that happened during the pandemic. Sign up people to be tutors and mentors. Hold a training for new tutors and mentors if that's the space that you work in normally. Check with local schools to see what they need and hold a collection drive. Let's help each other reach our fullest potential. Nothing can be more important, really, in a child's life than helping them stay on track academically and be well adjusted in school. For many communities and individuals, hunger is still a very real and pervasive issue. Restock food pantries, serve or deliver meals, find out what your community needs and address it through service with others. It doesn't have to be a huge organized project to make a difference. Fall is a time when many locations are planting bulbs for the spring. Partner with a local park, senior center, school, fire station, and beautify. Plant bulbs, clean up for winter. Do neighborhoods in your community need access to books? Ever consider putting a little free library into your neighborhood? You can visit littlefreelibrary.org for free building plans and tips to make this this effort more successful in your community. Next slide. And finally, want to engage a group to learn about our history and help make our documents more accessible for others? The National Archives, the Smithsonian Institution, and the Library of Congress all offer virtual opportunities to help them transcribe historical documents. And some offer keyword tagging as well to improve search. Whatever your interest or your community need, projects are only limited by your imagination. I, for one, can't wait to learn what you organize. Next slide, please. So now it's time to talk about registering those projects. Next slide. We want volunteers and others to learn about your projects and be able to participate in them or get ideas for planning their own. Please visit AmeriCorps.gov/911-day to learn how to register your project. We have collaborated with Volunteer Match to create a search tool that feeds opportunities from several organizations, including but not limited to Idealist, Just Serve, and Volunteer Match. If you register a project on any of those sites and tag it with 9/11, either in the title and or in the description, it'll be discoverable on our search. It'll help us find you, it'll help media find you, and most importantly, it'll help other volunteers find you. Now it's my pleasure to introduce my colleague, Emily Stock, who manages our Volunteer Initiatives grant portfolio. Emily is new to our agency, but not to AmeriCorps. We're so pleased she's leading this work. Emily?
Thank you so much, Rhonda. I'm really excited to be here with so many amazing people that are committed to improving the lives in their communities. So next slide, please. I'm here to talk about a little bit about what's coming up for AmeriCorps. So to add on to what Rhonda was saying, we ask that you follow the instructions that she shared to register your project. This will help us amplify the impact of the day and the work that you're doing in communities to meet the needs of your fellow citizens. We wanted to share that we're currently working on the key messages so we can all have a unified message, again, to help amplify the work that we're doing and the importance of this day as a national day of service. Those key messages will be available on the AmeriCorps website no later than August 1st. And additionally to those key messages, we're working on a social toolkit that will be completed by mid-August. And in that toolkit, we'll include those key messages, but it will also include graphics, logos, and sample media posts that you can use, again, to help amplify the work that you're doing, highlight the work in your communities, and the amazing volunteers that are meeting the community needs. And then we also ask you to join us as a champion of 9/11. This will help promote the work that you're doing, help promote the opportunities that you have on this day of service, and will also give you access to all of the items that I mentioned previously in advance. So more information on the AmeriCorps.gov website, and we look forward to seeing all of the amazing work that you're doing. Thank you.
Thanks, Emily. So I'm going to start answering a few questions that have not been answered yet that were typed into the chat. If you have other questions, please enter, not the chat, excuse me, I misspoke, into the Q&A, not the chat, into the Q&A. If you have questions, you can enter them into the Q&A now, or if you raise your hand, I believe Mike can unmute you to ask live, but I'm going to start with answering what hasn't been answered in the chat so far. There are two questions from S. Fry, projects with parks and/or animals. I'd suggest that you reach out to your local humane society or animal shelter and see if they have ideas or needs around 9/11 for volunteers. Also, you might check with your local senior services organization, the local council on the aging, or other organizations that serve seniors, particularly low-income seniors. They may be doing pet food collections that would help seniors address issues around keeping their pets fed and themselves. As far as parks, if you have a local park and recreation center, if you're near a national park, on our website on AmeriCorps.gov, where you search for volunteer opportunities, one of the organizations that feeds into this is the National Park Service volunteer opportunities. You can check there for national volunteer opportunities in parks. Otherwise, I would check with your local park and recreation department to see if they have a regularly organized volunteer opportunity, or if they might like you to help organize a volunteer day to support parks. We did talk about a little bit in the webinar about the possibility of beautifying parks or other public spaces. Let's see. We have a lovely comment from Kimberly Rudler. As I look back, the love that we have for one another is what sustains us. A woman first responder at 9/11. Thank you for your service, Kimberly. We have lots of interest in serving in our community. Any thoughts on how to create a service project combating xenophobia? You know that I might think about showing the video that Megan talked about and discussing what's common among us, how we unify to serve others. And I'd love to open it up to any of my other presenters or Emily for ideas. Megan and others, do you have other ideas?
Yes, I was just going to say that two resources that we have that specifically address xenophobia, or even just in broader terms, the idea of othering. If you go to 911memorial.org, on the homepage, when you click the Learn tab, you will find lesson plans. And we have a 3 lesson plan series on combating xenophobia, othering, Islamophobia, and the experience of people after 9/11. So I would definitely recommend that you take a look at that 3 lesson plan series, because it does include videos from Muslim Americans being interviewed post 9/11. It has FBI hate crime statistic charts. It has a lot of primary sources that I think might be helpful in this. And also, if you visit 911memorial.org/webinar, that's where you'll find the trailer. But also we have at the very bottom of that page, we have an entire collection of stories from previous webinars. So they're all individual 5-minute clips of different stories, and you can search them by theme, by first responder, or I'm sorry, by speaker category. I should also mention too that all of the videos are fully accessible. We have Spanish captions, open and closed captions, as well as ASL interpretation and audio descriptions. So I think those two things could be very helpful resources to you in that area.
Rhonda, I'd also, I have another idea on that just to add to it. Welcome.us is an amazing organization that sprang out of the efforts to welcome newcomers from Afghanistan and Ukraine. And if you go to their websites, welcome.us, I'm not sure exactly what their website is, but if you Google it, you'll find them. They have ideas for how you can play a role in welcoming these newcomers to the United States, and that might be a great place to start to get further ideas about that.
Thank you, everyone. I hope everyone's also following the chat. You all are sharing great ideas with each other as well. From AmeriCorps program staff, what suggestions, ideas do you have to encourage members to serve on this Sunday day of service in addition to their weekday of service? You know, I'm going to go back to Megan's video. I would encourage you maybe to watch that video together as part of your service for 9/11, and also challenge them. Most AmeriCorps programs have some beyond service hours and volunteering hours. Encourage them to find something they care about and go address it in their community. CERT classes. If you go to FEMA.gov or ready.gov, and I'm not sure off the top of my head if you can get it to it by ready.gov, but I think you can. There's a list of CERT trainings there. And if you poke around a little bit, it's not quite completely intuitive, but if you poke around a little bit, you can find links to CERT classes, community CERT classes. I think you can plug in zip codes for that. You also might check with your state emergency responders and see if they're offering any specific CERT classes. We have a comment in the Q&A. Thank you for so many inspired ideas for events. If anyone is seeking more inspiration, please refer to the book You Can Do It by Lauren. I will mess up her last name, so I'm not, who died in United Flight 93. Do you already know what local fire departments or police station needs? I think it's probably a variable with the location and probably also, frankly, whether they're funded or volunteer. But I encourage you to reach out to them and see. Someone mentioned that they always help beautify the garden at their fire department. That's really a wonderful, uplifting thing to do for first responders. Are there any lesson plans about service or taking a stand? Ryan or Megan, do you have anything that is more specific to that? Service, yes, I think.
Yes, we do. Again, I would, and I can put this also in the chat. If you go to 911memorial.org, and again, the Learn tab, and then you'll click on lesson plans. We do have thematic lesson plans, particularly about service, and also debate and counterpoint on some of the repercussions of 9/11. So you can search that in the themes from our website. And again, I can put that link in the chat for you.
So, Julia, there's a question. What are some things you can do for local veterans? Any programs have some good results doing a project of this sort?
Yes, I was just typing in the chat. We always recommend that you start at your local VA. They have the best pulse on your specific community's needs in terms of the veteran population. And so I will provide a link to the VA Center for Development and Civic Engagement. That is a great place to start. They have local offices across the country, and you can get in touch with them and they'll let you know about volunteer opportunities, both through the VA and through organizations that partner with the VA. So thank you for asking.
Christine, I don't have off the top of my head the contact for the NYC Public Health Navigator program, but we will follow up afterward and try to get that contact for you. Oh. And once again, this webinar will be posted, we hope, by the end of next week. It takes us a little while to get the captioning done, and we are not allowed to post without that accessibility piece added. Are there any more questions that I may have missed? Oh, and where we will send out the link, Kimberly. It will be on our AmeriCorps.gov 9/11 Day website, but we'll also send out the link.
Oh, I just wanted to address a question that came in to the chat. Really, yes, there have been several questions about previewing the video. Absolutely. So we do provide a preview period right after Labor Day. So about a week to 2 weeks in the beginning of September before the anniversary, we do provide a free preview for anyone who has registered. And we do that again so that you know what you're showing and you can deem the appropriateness for your project. But yes, there is a preview period that's available online. If you register, you'll get an email telling you when it's available.
And Megan, we also had one question earlier on, and I may have missed the answer to it, that asked how long that video is up for viewing. How long can they access it?
Sure. So it will debut. Technically, it debuts the night before, sort of midnight on the 8th, but all day on the 9th. And then it lives on our website basically in perpetuity. So it's on the website through the rest of the year. And then it transitions over to our webinar stories page, which is that archive I was talking about before, where all of the old past programs live, as well as individual speaker videos. So it's available from the 9th forever.
And there's another question for you, Megan. Will there be takeaways/handouts available for participants?
Yes, excellent question. So yes, we are actually getting ready to post those in a couple of weeks. We have pre and post activities based on grade level. So we have pre and post activities for children as young as 5 all the way through, post high school. We also have viewing guides. So these are differentiated questions, again, by grade level and speaker, that can help with conversations before and after the program. And then we have suggested extension activities, including service project ideas. So an entire suite, including a glossary too, of some of the very specific vocabulary around 9/11 and how to use it appropriately with different age levels and different types of audiences. So all of that should be up on our website in about 2 weeks. And you will also get an email about when those resources are available once you register.
Dion Robertson also asked, and I think this is probably for you too, Megan. She says, she works with at-risk youth ages 16 to 18 and would love to do this with them. Is the video appropriate for that age group?
Yes, so we actually, in our viewing guides, we also have information. If there is a story perhaps that may not be appropriate for a particular age level, we'll put a note on there. But this is why we do the preview, so that you can view it ahead of time. And again, with it being on demand, you can pause, rewind, fast forward, skip. So perhaps if there's 2 of the 4 stories you want to use, you think they're the most appropriate, you can just show those 2. You don't need to show the whole thing.
Anyone else? Sarah, excuse me, last name Fry on animal charities. Google is my best friend when I'm looking for things like that. I would Google it for near me, or check out the National Humane Society to see where they may have affiliates in your community. Do you have any resources for people who are feeling depression or trauma on 9/11? The national, let me think, the national, oh gosh, it's the mental health portion of HHS, and I'm blanking on the name of it. They have great resources for SAMHSA, thank you. SAMHSA.gov. They have, it's also the National Institute of Mental Health, SAMHSA and the National Institute of Mental Health, both. Their .gov websites, excuse me, and they both have really good resources for supporting mental health.
Yeah, and can I also add, Rhonda, that just this week they launched a new mental health crisis line akin to 911. So now anyone can dial 988 and be connected directly with mental health resources. So that's a good thing to commit to memory from now on. So if you know anyone who's having a mental health crisis, they can dial 988 and be connected to great resources. And thanks for asking that question. Very important.
Any other questions?
I did see a couple of questions in the chat with the same, it was the same. So I would just say that the link that I shared in the presentation, I also put in the chat, but the short version of it is 911memorial.org/webinar. That's not just registration. It has all of the information about the program, information about the speakers, and some of the things that you were asking about. The landing page is 911memorial.org/webinar. Thank you.
Florita, you ask about faith events around 9/11, who would we contact? I would suggest if you have a local council of churches in your community, or just several large or small congregations that you want to reach out to, maybe the video is a great way to start getting together and having conversations across faiths. It could also be that several faith organizations in your community already work together around hunger, or supporting seniors, or supporting, tutoring programs in schools. I would just reach out to a couple of them and see where they suggest you start. There's no one single answer for any community, I don't think. Any other questions? So Monica Drewberry asked, can we add voter registration to our activities? As a federal agency, we can't support voter registration activities. So if you're using federal funds to do to plan a voter registration activity, that would be prohibited for programs that we fund. But as an individual organization that's not a federal fund, it's up to you what your service activity is and what you add on. Can we make a copy of today's chat log available? I'll have to find out about how the best way to do that is, but if nothing else, I can at least send it to the person who asked. Anybody else before we end? We have 3 minutes left. We'd love to answer any more of your questions that we can. Please don't forget to register your projects. Go to the AmeriCorps.gov site and check out our 9/11 pages, and there's information on there how to register your projects. You don't do it with us. You pick one of the organizations that feeds into our site, but we hope you will do that as soon as you know what you're doing, so that more people will be inspired to serve and will know about serving with you. Tim Johnson says, are there any regional conferences or gatherings for AmeriCorps programs? Not that I know of around 9/11, although local core councils for AmeriCorps may be planning activities. I would just encourage you to reach out to your local AmeriCorps program. If you don't know who they are, please just email me at rtaylor@cns.gov, and I will connect you with our representatives in your state, or that service your state. They may not be in your state, but that service your state. R as in Rhonda, Taylor, Taylor @cns.gov. If you want to reach out to me directly. Well, thank you, everyone. We appreciate all of you find the way, a service opportunity or the right fit for your community to participate in service for 9/11 and continue that service throughout the year. Thank you again. If there are no other questions, we will hang up.